Hey, the tension was just mounting. I could feel that. I could sense it. People are
say something.
The Facebook Live is starting to fill up. Welcome into the spread. NESN.com's football.
Gather around.
Yeah, exactly. I love that whole, like, it kind of builds up. People are like, oh, what's coming up now? You know what's coming up. It's the spread. It's
the spread.
It's where we make football picks and we talk about gambling and stuff, but in a legal way. I'm NESN.com's Mike Colt. That's Ricky Doyle.
Hey.
That's Andre Kachaturian. If you're new to the show, and again, what took you so long? We're going to go through 3 of the best games of the week, 3 of the best NFL games of the week, make our picks against the spread. We'll do a little locks, upsets.
We got the Premier League.
Yeah, right, yeah. Maybe
Champions League.
Maybe mix in some, I don't know. You know what the NFL knocking down your door. I don't know what you can say or what you can't say. We'll do all that, locks, upsets, little show and tell, get out of here. Before we get into this week, we will look back to last week. Do we have last week's standings?
I believe we do. Last week's standings, I actually had the best record last week. I was 7-1. I now have 22 wins on the season.
Sure.
We're in a two-way tie for last place right now, or second place, whichever way you want to put it. You went 6-8-1. And Ricky, horrible week last week. You went 5-9-1.
Whoa.
We are now 2 games behind. No, it's a horrible week. 5-9-1. Come on,
horrible when you set the bar as high as I did through the first 2 weeks. Is what you're saying.
Well, you were in last. You're still in first place, so you should still be happy. You had a very good week 1, week 2.
I let my foot off the gas a little bit.
But the gap is closer. We're both 2 games behind you. You better bounce back. Actually, me and Mike are hoping you don't bounce back. We'd like to catch up and make this an interesting run all the way up to week 17.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't bounce back, that would be great. But
we also had a push. Our first push of the year happened this week. It was that Rams 49ers game, which I thought might be the greatest game in NFL history in the regular season. It was a fantastic Thursday night game. That Rams 49ers. Don't get angry. It was good. Did you like it?
Yes. Your hyperbole is just.
It's not hyperbole.
So bad.
It was NorCal versus SoCal. 2 up-and-coming teams. Rams a little more up-and-coming.
It was not the best regular season football game of the week.
You're right. But it was the best Thursday night. All I said was the best Thursday night.
Already claiming that the NL wildcard game in Major League Baseball is going to be a game that hasn't even taken place, a game in which we don't even know which 2 teams are going to be in it.
Rockies Diamondbacks.
It's not official now.
It's going to be official soon.
Okay, but you're already dubbing that the greatest game.
It's only going to be greatest game if it's Rockies Diamondbacks.
All right, we're getting off topic here.
We do know we'll be in the desert too, so we will have the blimp showing desert landscapes in the commercial cutaways.
Right in your wheelhouse.
All right, let's go with the first game.
Jesus Christ, no wonder we
get to this. Week four.
Let's go fast.
All right, we're going to start in weird order because Andre screwed up the graphics, and we're going to start with
what the hell is up with that?
I didn't screw anything up. It's just games.
All right, whatever.
No one cares what time they're at.
They do, because people want to, just set their weekend. We got the 3 best games.
People in the comment section, let us know. Do you care what time these games at and what order we give them? I guarantee you they don't care.
If you side with him, you're siding with evil. So, first game, Raiders versus Broncos, AFC West clash between 2 teams that had a rough week 3. Oakland, they went to Washington in a game that I really just whiffed on big time. I thought that the Raiders would, do anything, and they did not. They got smoked by Washington. Now they have to go back out on the road, go to Denver and take on the Broncos. Broncos, tough game last week in Buffalo. Buffalo's always a tough place to play. Not sure why I took the Broncos last week, knowing how tough it is for the teams to go on the road and play the Bills. I like that Bills team a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I do. If they could score points, they'd be a lot better. But, so this one, Raiders at Broncos. Broncos 3-point favorites. The over-under set at 46.5 points. Big game. You don't want to be 2-2 through 4 games, especially in the division. Ricky, why don't you start it off?
I think a lot of people whiffed on that Raiders-Redskins game last week. I mean, that performance from the Raiders in several respects was abysmal.
Yep.
And I don't think you're not going to see that offensive line play that bad for the rest of the season. I don't think you can, first and foremost, because it was a pretty terrible effort. But
brutal.
This is one of the best offensive lines in football that we're talking about. They made Ryan Kerrigan look like Lawrence Taylor, but I like he's good, very good player.
Shawn Michaels' celebration too is the best.
I like the Broncos in this game, and it's largely. I think you can make this Raiders offense somewhat one-dimensional. Marshawn Lynch was essentially a non-factor. The entire rushing attack was a non-factor in that Redskins game. And if you do that, Derek Carr's a guy that, there's a lot made of how quickly he gets rid of the football. Well, when you got guys breathing down your neck, you better get rid of the football quick, and he didn't really do it all that much against the Redskins. And I just think that Raiders secondary, there's some shortcomings there.
Oh, yeah.
As good as their front seven is, as good as that pass rush can be with Khalil Mack and Bruce Irvin and, just the talent level that they have in their front seven, that secondary's got some issues. It really dates back to last season. David Amerson was absolutely god-awful against the Redskins. And I think the Broncos can, Trevor Simeon's not going to light the world on fire, but he's got some weapons. I think you get the ball to guys like Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, get it to him in space. I also think this is a week where you see a little bit more of Jamal Charles. I think they're kind of easing his way into the game plan a little bit. But I'd like to see more out of him, maybe as a receiver coming out of the backfield, which is what he basically was his bread and butter in Kansas City. So I like the Broncos in this. I haven't really even touched on their defense, which it just kind of speaks for itself how good it is.
Still pretty good.
I can touch on the Broncos defense.
Go right ahead.
Because I also agree with you. I think the Broncos will win. You're probably taking like 10 minutes giving that pick. I'm going to call you out in public. Keep your next pick short. Anyway, Broncos allow 4.3 yards per play. It's one of the best in football. And as great as Derek Carr is, I think he's been successful this past year and a half or so because the Raiders force a lot of turnovers and he gets good field position when he gets the ball on offense. Because really, the Raiders this year, 19th in yards per pass attempt. They can be slowed down. And Raiders, 5th worst yards per play differential. You guys know how much I love that stat. It's week 4 now. We can start using it. Yards per play differential. That means yards per play gained minus yards per play allowed. And the Raiders have the 5th worst in the NFL despite having a 2-1.
Yeah, differential works, but yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, you're done now?
Yeah.
I'm also thinking
check the time. I don't think yours is that much shorter than mine.
Mine was about 47 seconds.
I like Denver for the reasons you guys mentioned. I can't get over the fact that 472 total yards given up last week by that Oakland defense. It sure is on the road, but I mean, we look at Washington for the first 2 weeks of the season. They were they just struggled moving the football, especially through the air. Kirk Cousins looked like Dan Marino again. It's just a weird, bad look for Oakland. I think, again, traveling 2 weeks in a row, always tough. Michael Crabtree banged up. I mean, it sounds like he's going to give it a go, but I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be going at that secondary anything less than 100%. Also, I saw somewhere, Amari Cooper, I think, leads the league in drops, which is a weird little stat, too. Again, not a good matchup. Trevor Siemian also, you guys touched on that a little bit, much better at home. His last 5 home games completed nearly 63% of his passes, 11 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. Denver 3-2 in those games. The only losses came to Kansas City and New England, 2 pretty good teams. They also beat Oakland at home late last season. So I like the Broncos in this spot. But I feel like Denver might end up being one of those teams that I can't get a good grip on all season long. Yeah. I think that's kind of what happens when you have inconsistent quarterback play. But it's a tough team to get a read on, but I will take them this week at least.
Yeah. I'll say I put more stock in their home field advantage than
that's the
any
big
team.
thing. This game being in Denver.
If this was in Oakland, I might have a somewhat different viewpoint on this because I mean, it's just we've seen time and time again how difficult it is to play in Denver.
And Trevor Siemian, I think he's just. I mean, this is a dumb thing to say. It's not that dumb, but it's like obvious thing to say.
Let's say it anyway.
Let's say it.
Yeah, let's just
we've seen him. He can be a decent quarterback at home. He's
not bad.
Pretty good against Dallas, and their defense is pretty decent. So, yeah, I'll take
one thing. Just to point out real quick too, that was pretty interesting. I was looking at this because Oakland went 0 for 11 on 3rd down last week. I mean, which kind of just speaks to what their offense was in general. I mean, that was one of the more one-sided games of the year. But so you look at this, Broncos are 1st in 3rd down conversion percentage this year, 4th in opponent 3rd down conversion percentage. The Raiders on the flip side are 18th and 29th in those 2 categories respectively.
He completely broke down this game.
I just thought it was interesting when you see 0 for 11 on 3rd down. It just made me look at it a little bit more.
It's glaring.
The annoying thing is
anytime you see the goose egg.
The annoying thing is that I pointed out the 3rd down conversion rate for the Raiders as a reason for picking them last week. They were my lock last week. They were 3rd in the league in 3rd down conversions going into that game.
And number dipped
I also said they never turned the ball over. They turned the ball over 3 times for the first time last week. So
we'll see. Maybe we're overreacting, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's still too early to really have real definitive statements. It's going to be a lot of overreacting still, but we're getting there, like you kind of mentioned. Yeah. Next game, Philadelphia at Los Angeles. That is the Chargers, not the Rams. Eagles coming off a last-second win, 61-yard field goal.
What a kick, huh? Great call by Joe Buck,
unbelievable. It was a good game, actually. It turned into the Eagles, right? Giants turned into a good one. Chargers, meanwhile, losing at home to the Chiefs. The Chargers, only 1-point favorites here. That might surprise some people, including myself, alluding to my pick a little bit, but why don't you kick it off?
What happens if an eagle flies in a rainstorm? Thunderstorm. Lightning bolts, Chargers It's not a good atmosphere for an eagle to be flying in weather like that. And I think that same thing is going to happen at the StubHub Center in Los Angeles. Let me tell you, the Chargers are better than their record shows. 0-3, come on. They're not that bad. Plus, Carson Wentz on the road in his career, I've talked about it all season long. He's 2-8 career, 11 touchdowns and 11 picks. He hasn't been protected at all this year. 11 sacks. It's the fourth most. And guess what? The Chargers pass rush can really bring it. Second best sack percentage. Clicking that 12%. I love that pass rush. I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on Carson Wentz. I think the Eagles are very overrated. They're this week's overreaction team. Last week it was the Bucs. This week it's the Eagles. So I'm going with the Chargers.
I disagree in saying that they're overrated. I like the Eagles this year, but I am taking the Chargers in this one, and it's because the Eagles are pretty banged up right now. I think they're down to their fourth-string safety last week. Fletcher Cox looks like he's not going to be a go. Jordan Hicks is pretty banged up. You lose Darren Sproles breaking every bone in his body on one play.
What a career.
It's kind of your security blanket, and that's could be important in a game like this. For, as you mentioned, Wentz, not the greatest quarterback on the road, so that could play an issue. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm taking the Chargers, which is probably going to come back to bite me yet again because it seems like every week I wait for them to pull their head out of their tailpipe, and it just hasn't happened at this point. So really, I just want to see some consistency from this offense. Too. Phillip Rivers was dreadful last week. I think you got to get back to more of a short passing attack. I feel like they rely too much on the vertical game. Get Hunter Henry more involved, but I'll take the Chargers. It's going to be a pick 'em. I feel like the Chargers are going to be a pick 'em like every week this year.
How many times do we get to sit here and talk about the Chargers, and whether it's the season preview or even in the first few weeks, and you sit here and tell me about how good they are despite they've lost
a lot of lightning.
They've lost 8 games in a row. In those 8 games, Phillip Rivers has thrown 14 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, a 77 passer rating. Maybe Phillip Rivers just isn't good. Like, maybe the Chargers suck. Like, is that something? The Chargers they're laying a point. They suck. And they might win this game because you guys are right. No, the Eagles, I don't like the Eagles traveling across country coming off of a divisional game. That being said, it's a terrible matchup for San Diego, Los Angeles, whoever the hell they are, they suck. Philadelphia's rushing attack last week, 193 yards on just 39 carries. They have, I think, one of the top 5 rushing attacks in the league, going up against the second worst rush defense in the league. Chargers giving up 146.7 yards per game this season. You want to talk about that pass rush? You know how you neutralize that pass rush? You run. You'd run early, you take away that pass rush, put him in manageable situations. The reason Carson Wentz, the reason
Run with who? Wendell Smallwood?
They ran for 160 yards last week against the Giants defense that went out
Wendell Smallwood and LeGarrette Blount.
And they ran the ball for almost 200 yards. They averaged.
Can they do it again?
They have a better chance of doing it against the Chargers than a Giants team that bottled up.
Again, Carson Wentz has been sacked a ton
because he holds onto the ball so long. He's not going to get his head ripped off this week. I just don't.
His head went ripped off into the Los Angeles
How many times have we talked about the Eagles the last year saying, well, once the Eagles have Lane Taylor back, they're going to be a better team. Lane Taylor's back. They've got Jason Peters. That's a good. I'll take that tackle combination trying to keep Bosa and Ingram out of the backfield. Eagles, second highest rate of explosive run plays, 10-plus yards through 3 weeks. Second to only KC, who went into LA and won last week.
Yeah, KC's the best team in football.
Philly secondary.
You're too obsessed with results. It's all about the ingredients, as Colin Cowherd says.
All right, then fine.
The ingredients. Chargers have the ingredients. They have the weapons. They have the threats. Cool, they've lost 8 in a row, but they should have won a lot of those games.
That's insane. That's a half of an
NFL
NFL season.
No, they're
not.
Team.
No, they're not. They're not a good team. Good teams don't lose.
Loud noises!
It's just so stupid to say. No, they might win this game, but to sit here and say that they're a good team when they've lost 8 goddamn games in a row, it's again, you're these things that you say.
Look at the way they've lost in all those games.
It doesn't matter. It's the NFL. It's the highest level of football. Oh, great. Build them a freaking statue outside of whatever that godforsaken stadium they play in because they lost by 2 points for 2 goddamn years in a row.
They play the Chiefs tough, too. This is the best team in football. They played them tough.
They lost by 14 points. They scored 10
if it wasn't for a 65-yard from Kareem Hunt at the end, it was a one-possession game.
And now they're playing the team that has
Wendell Smallwood.
The second most 10-plus yard rushes this season. So obviously they're doing something right. Obviously they're breaking big plays somewhere. It's just
I'm ready to move on to the
yeah,
AFC
I am too.
South.
Because I'm done talking about the Chargers because they suck. 8 losses in a row. How do you lose 8 losses? Does anybody else do that? The Browns don't even do that. All right.
I'm gonna take it. You took the Eagles, right?
Yeah, I got the Eagles. Let's rewind
Get that on the
to
record.
1 o'clock. We'll go back in time. The Tennessee Titans going on the road, face division rival Houston Texans. Titans, this line's been kind of bouncing around a little bit. As I have it right now, they're 1.5-point road favorites at Houston. I'm double checking this with our friends at OddsShark. That is still the line. Yes, still the line. Over under 44, so expecting a close, low-scoring game here. Two teams that have looked pretty good so far this season. Titans, a nice win last week against Seattle. Houston had a chance. They should have won that game. You know, I mean, obviously going up against Tom Brady in the last couple minutes, it's a tough spot. But, you know, get a stop for me one time in like 3rd and 18. So, Titans 1.5-point favorites on the road at Houston. Ricky, what do you think?
Yeah, this is what you would call some smash mouth football.
Yeah.
Hey, now you're an all-star. But I'm thinking if you're the Titans, what I want to see from them, more so than lining up and try and jam it down their throats like they did to Seattle, who also has a good rush defense, and like they can do with teams. I want to see them open it up a little bit because that Texans secondary left a lot to be desired against the Patriots. Obviously, that's the Patriots. That's the best offense in football. But I think there's a chance to beat them down the field. You look at Marcus Mariota; he has the weapons to do it. So I'd like to see them get Rashad Matthews, Eric. I'd feel a lot better if Corey Davis plays in this game. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I think the Titans air it out a little bit, maybe rely on that ground game after you build a lead, and then take advantage of Deshaun Watson's mistakes. He's still a rookie. I still see him. I think his big game against the Patriots was really an indictment on the New England defense as much as it was his overall capability. So he's still prone to make mistakes. Take advantage of those. I like the Titans on the road in this one.
I agree. Don't be fooled by Deshaun Watson's amazing performance.
It was good.
It was good. It was good.
The Patriots defense sucks.
Yeah. Well, the Titans defense doesn't suck. I think they're pretty good. I'm going to take the Titans on this one. I think it's going to be a close game. It was tough for me to pick the Titans. Like the Texans at home, the type of game where they can force turnovers and just win with defensive touchdowns and whatnot. But I don't know. I think Marcus Mariota, the guy's been getting a ton of protection this year. He's only been sacked twice. On the other side, Deshaun Watson, he's been sacked 15 times, most in the league. When I see a stat like that, it just bounces right in front of me. And Titans' explosive running attack, 5.1 yards per carry, second best.
So now it's a relevant stat.
What?
The Titans' explosive running attack is, now that it's your argument,
Eagles don't have an explosive running attack.
I just gave you
Wendell
stats
Smallwood.
in which they have. Apparently, they've done a pretty good job.
Hey, now you're going back in time. Just thinking with the Titans. I'm taking this one. Go ahead.
I'm also taking the Titans because part of it, you look at these two teams have both played Jacksonville, and I can't erase the fact or the thought of, sure, Tom Savage started that game, just Houston getting dump trucked at home against Jacksonville. The next week, Tennessee, reeling after a week 1 loss, goes and beats the tar out of the Jaguars.
Yep.
So it's just, I think it's a bad matchup for Houston here, which is, I think, the thing that it comes down to. That defense, everybody talks about how good it is. It hasn't looked great. Sure, they've had to go up against Tom Brady last week, but I think you can run on them, and sure, that's something that we've talked about already. The Titans can run the ball, 5.1 yards per carry. That's second in the NFL. They can run on the road, as they showed at Jacksonville. It's the same situation. You can throw against Houston, too. They're allowing 12.1 yards per completion. That's 27th in the entire league. And one thing I think, keep an eye on special teams here. The Texans are third. They have the third worst punt return yardage per return. You know what I mean? Third worst average punt return against.
Okay.
So maybe
Terrible kick coverage.
Yeah, and they're worse in the NFL in kickoff coverage. So maybe they kick away. But Adoree Jackson, who they drafted out of USC, played corner. He's actually been a very good punt returner for them. He, I have it right here, 13.9 yards per punt return. Wow. That's 5th in the NFL. I see him making a big play at some point to kind of switch the field, and I think that is the type of thing that swings a game like this, it's a low spread. And also for what it's worth department, Eric Decker for his career against Houston, 4 games, 22 catches on 39 targets, 348 yards. That's almost 16 yards per reception, 2 touchdowns. I think he has a big game as well.
Some good stats you dropped.
That's a very good
This game can be decided by the Gunners.
No, I agree. I think the Texans can make some defensive plays, and that might be the difference. But I think Mariota's a good quarterback.
And when you're dealing with a point and a half, one little thing can switch a game.
By the way, the Eagles, week 1, 58 rushing yards against the Redskins rush defense that couldn't stop anything.
Okay.
All right.
You mentioned that Jaguars game and then the Patriots last week. Sandwich in between those two games, too. How we forget about the Bengals game. Texans' offense didn't look great in that. 268 total yards of offense. I think the Deshaun Watson's big run there, which everybody was like drooling over for a couple of weeks.
Remind me of Mike Vick.
It was a very good run, but aside from that, they didn't have a whole lot going on offensively.
Remember Vick's overtime touchdown run? That's what it reminded me of. It was,
anyway,
locks and upsets.
Why don't you start, Andre?
Locks?
Yeah.
Oh, look.
Locks?
Baltimore Ravens. I thought they were going to be this week's fool's gold when they went to Jacksonville. I thought they were going to win. I was completely wrong on that. They got blown out. I thought they were going to be 3-0 heading into this game. And I thought this would be the week they would get exposed. But I'm happy the Jaguars did it because no one's talking about the Ravens being undefeated. I think the Steelers over the Ravens is the biggest lock of the week. I know Ben Roethlisberger struggles on the road. I talk about it every single week. But Marshall Yanda, being out of that offensive line was such a huge concern for the Ravens now. I mean, the Jaguars have a great pass rush, and they totally exposed Joe Flacco. He looked like trash, Flacco, man. And now the Steelers pass rush, they got a great one, too. They've second in the league in sacks with 11. I think they're going to just cause a lot of problems for Joe Flacco, and they'll win this one. It's a lopsided matchup.
It's that London altitude.
Yeah, and the London hangover really for the Ravens, too. I think that'll be a factor.
My lock, I'm taking the Seahawks over the Colts. Pretty hefty spread. I believe it's at 13 points right now. It's in Seattle, though. This is going to be a team. It's a little bit of desperation after their most recent loss. It just smells like a blowout to me. Kind of a get-right game for them. You look at the Colts. Allowed 20 pass plays.
I don't know if they could score 13 points.
I don't know if they have a
get-right
game.
Cover a 13-point
if
spread.
they're going to score it against anybody, it's the Colts.
I think I'm taking the Seahawks this week, and I agree with your line of thinking, but this is a huge game for them because if they don't have that get-right game, it's not coming all year.
This has got to be it. You're going against an inexperienced quarterback. I can't see him Jacoby Brissett having any success against that defense.
That defense stinks. That defense stinks. I'm sick and tired of hearing the Seahawks defense.
A complete hyperbole.
That is not hyperbole. I'll give you some numbers right now. They
Go
stink.
right ahead.
This
goes completely against your argument of they have the ingredients. As long as they have the ingredients.
You're too obsessed with results.
You're going to sit there and tell me Seahawks don't have the personnel to be good defensively?
Yeah, they do.
Get the hell out of here.
Especially going up against that offensive line. They're gonna have
that offensive line of Seattle, that sucks. I'll give you that.
11th in yards allowed per play.
It's still probably better than Indy's.
Yeah, better than Indy's. 2.7 yards per carry for the
They're going to have to dress up Jacoby Brissett in like the bubble package like in Little Giants.
They're not going to be able to
allowed the 10th most yards per play. I'm just saying. 10th most yards per play. They stink.
Against some really good football teams.
49ers.
Packers and Titans.
All right, they're going up against. If there's, I could see Brissett launching a deep one to T.Y. Hilton, 70-yard bomb. I could see that.
I could also see, we sit there not big on the Seahawks offense, obviously, but 5 pass plays of over 20 yards last week. Colts have allowed 20 such plays.
I'm just saying they're going to cover a 13-point spread.
I see Seahawks win the game. Their defense still blows. The
Colts defense is wretched.
It's still, yeah. I mean, for all the changes they made over the offseason, they haven't really upgraded all that much. So I just think that one's a.
Yeah, I'm also going with a big spread. I don't feel good about it the more I think about it. But I'll take the Patriots, 9-point favorites over the Carolina Panthers. The Patriots defense, I think we're at a point where you can say that's a concern for that team.
It's not good.
It's not good. But if there's anything the doctor ordered, it's a team that scored, 15 points last week against the Saints at home. This Panthers offense, I picked the Panthers last week to win. Clearly underestimating. You want to talk about Marshall Yanda with the Ravens? Clearly underestimating the impact that Greg Olsen has on an offense. They looked lost. Now you got Kelvin Benjamin, who got folded up like an accordion. Probably not going to be able to play. It sounds like the Patriots defense, that is an issue. But if they get Dante Hightower back this week, which it sounds like they might, that's a huge step for them. Whatever. The mobile quarterback thing, I think the Patriots probably figure it out, make a couple of adjustments week to week. And I think Deshaun Watson at this point in his career going up against, there's clearly things wrong with Cam Newton. I don't think that he presents that same element of attack that Deshaun Watson does right now.
Can we agree that Cam Newton's not that good?
Yeah.
I've been saying it.
This is like
so long.
A season and a half.
So what's wrong?
What?
This is kind of like Phillip Rivers. Where it's been
at least Phillip Rivers can manage a 63% completion percentage.
Yeah, no, I do agree. Phillip
Rivers doesn't have that Panthers defense.
I don't think Cam Newton is as bad as he's looked this year. I think he's still dealing with the shoulder thing. But I'm somebody who's been down on him the last couple of years.
You look at his completion percentage and pass rating from last season. I mean, he's down there with like the Ryan Fitzpatricks and the Brock guys they want starting.
Yep.
Even the MVP season, his completion percentage was below 60%.
Yeah, he was running the ball. Now he's getting older. Doesn't run the ball. Okay, Ricky, upsets.
I'm gonna take the 49ers this week.
I like this one.
They got a long period in between games, haven't played on a Thursday night, 10 days of rest. On the flip side, the Cardinals have a short week, 6 days rest, so that could play a factor in this whole thing. The Cardinals' left side of their offensive line did not look good against Dallas. I think the 49ers, they got some good young pass rushers that as the season goes on, they're going to get a little bit better. Listen, I'm not exactly sold on the 49ers. I still think they have just a talent issue across the board, but there's some issues with that Cardinals team. So the 49ers go in there, like I said, with the extra rest. I think they can sneak one out.
Carson
Palmer looks old.
Speaking of teams that it's like the exact
it's the Thursday night opponents are playing against the Monday night opponents.
It makes no sense.
It's crazy. Look at the schedule makers. The Rams, that's my upset. Rams over the Cowboys. 7.5 point spread. What the heck?
It's already falling. It opened at 8.5. It might even be down below that.
I think it's 6 right now.
Yeah, I think it's down to 6.
And so I'm taking the Rams on that. Come on, wow. The Rams offense this year is unbelievable with Jared Goff. The guy's figuring it out. But let me just say one thing about the Dallas defense. I was wrong about their defense. They're actually pretty good this year. They've allowed fifth best in yards per play allowed. They actually look pretty good. And they have the league leader in sack in DeMarcus Lawrence. They have a pass rush. This team might be good. I think Dallas wins this game late. But the 7.5 point spread or 6 point spread, I think that's way too much, especially against a team that's literally averaging more yards per play than a lot of offensive juggernauts. Look at this. Rams, 6.6 yards per play. That's second best. They average more yards per play than the Falcons, the Patriots, and the Saints. Look at that offense. It's been against crap teams. I get it. But I think against Dallas, even with their defense being that improved, again, I'm all about ingredients, not results. The Dallas defense is still injured, decimated, and suspended. So I think it'll be a close one. Rams covered, Cowboys win.
I just love. So when you go to the restaurant, you're like,
it's a terrible dish. Yeah, but I like everything that's involved.
Exactly. This tastes horrible, but man, at least it's got
Get out the blender, start mixing crap together.
You think about that. It's about the ingredients, not
in the long term situation.
You hold in your nose and you drink it, but as long as they're all the ingredients.
Yeah. Sometimes you can
get the nicest piece of steak and burn the hell out of it.
Yeah,
it's still a good piece of steak.
I didn't make up that thing. I heard it on Colin Cowherd. He was talking about it. I agreed with him.
Well,
you like Colin Cowherd.
I do. I really like it.
For my upset, taking the New York Giants, 3-point road underdogs at Tampa Bay. I am somebody who's not high on Tampa Bay at all, and that has been very much justified so far this season.
He was so overrated.
Jameis Winston does not take care of the football.
Makes so many mistakes.
So many bad plays. I just love it. I go back. I can't get this Hard Knocks scene out of my head where he's like, it was in one of the preseason games, and he's falling down, and he just chucks the ball in the end zone, gets picked off, and Dirk Cutter is about to just rip his head off and throw it into the stands. It was awesome. And he still does stuff like that week in, week out. This Giants defense, we probably overrated it. Guilty, hand up on that. That's one of my fault, one of my bads. But I think that they kind of get it together at some point. I still think there's talent there. Again, so if you can get Jameis Winston in a bad spot, you're going to take advantage, get some turnovers. Eli Manning looked better last week. That offense, we're finally starting to see, at least this past week, again, it was against the Eagles. But you saw Sterling Shepard, great game, couple big plays. I think you look at what happened to Tampa Bay last week. They had to, sure, it was on the road, but against Case Keenum and the Vikings, they're playing parking lot football out there. Stephon Diggs is going off for 5 receptions of at least 15 yards, including a 59-yarder for a touchdown, 47-yard gain. I mean, I think there's a big play potential there for that Giants team. I think they break a couple big ones. I think they win that game outright by maybe even a touchdown. Tampa Bay also has some linebacker injuries. Keep an eye on that. So.
Like the fact that you guys could bury the hatchet and find a commmen enemy in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
We agreed on a lot today. We only disagreed on one thing.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of yelling involved.
And we're both very hostile people.
Make sure you turn up a few notches
Wednesday afternoon
for the disagreement.
All right, let's cue the mariachi music.
Yeah, let's do some show.
I'll go with mine because you just talked about the Giants. I just want to, before we completely turn the page on them,
how long have you had that?
This is a
childhood friend.
This is like some sentimental value here. Like let's pull this out of the closet, really digging deep. It's from when I was a young tot, if you will. And really, I just brought him in because it's a dog. And he's walking along. And I tell you, I was a big fan of the Odell Beckham Jr. touchdown celebration, lifting the leg. We need more of this. I know it's a very polarizing celebration, but anytime you can get a little creative and mime like you're peeing on an object, I'm in.
You know what was hilarious was Joe Buck called that game, and he was showing so much restraint because he was also calling that Vikings-Packers game many years ago when Randy Moss
on the old hydrant. Yeah,
Joe Buck called both games, and he was showing so much.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna say anything. I've learned my lesson.
Yeah,
that is completely disgusting, or whatever.
A disgusting act by Randy Moss.
So I'm all for relaxing the eyes. I'm not huge on touchdown celebrations, but anytime I can see one and say, all right, that one was pretty good. And this happened, it fit that mold, so I'm all in favor of it. All in favor of peeing on objects. And
Same here.
All
right, I'm gonna bring this. This is
what do you got there?
This is not a high heel. It looks like a high heel. When you look at it, you're like, wow, what a fancy high heel. Wow.
That's exactly.
But you know what it actually is? It's a tape dispenser. It looks like a high heel, but it's just something you can buy from CVS or Office Depot or Target.
I was going to say, let's not give away free sponsorships.
Right, but let me tell you, it's like when you look at the high heel, you look at the Atlanta Falcons or maybe even the Green Bay Packers. Wow, look a well-oiled machine. Maybe even the Seattle Seahawks. This team's going to go to the NFC Championship game and probably win it, right? But no, all three of those teams are just tape. That's all they are. They're worthless tape that you can buy from CVS. None of these teams are going to the Super Bowl. The Atlanta Falcons, this is directed to you. They should have lost to the Detroit Lions. What a horrible call in the end of that game. And in week 1 against the Chicago Bears, it came down to the last play. They almost lost to the Chicago Bears. The Atlanta Falcons should be a 1-2 team. The only team they beat is another piece of tape, the Green Bay Packers, who everyone thinks is. None of those teams are going to go to the Super Bowl. I think it might be either the Dallas Cowboys or the Los Angeles Rams.
So we're back from the Cowboys are going to be terrible this year. Now the Cowboys.
I'm back on the Cowboys bandwagon. I love how their defense has been. I love that DeMarcus Lawrence leads the league in sacks. They figured it out. So maybe a wild card.
This was a
actually no. New York Giants. I have them winning the NFC.
Get this straight. So your show and tell, your prop was based around getting caught up in the allure of a high heel. And then coming to find out it's a piece of tape.
Yeah,
that
is a piece of crap.
That is an amazing narrative. Thank you.
I appreciate it. It's one of my better show and tell.
That beats all of Aesop's fables. Aesop couldn't even come up with something to that.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic.
I thought it was good. The ups and downs. I was on a roller coaster of emotions. Beautiful. Finish this up.
Yeah, please. Let me go home. So I bought a clock today.
I feel like recycling objects from last year now.
No, I did not.
You got a clock.
Left his apple at the desk.
Yeah.
You bought an apple last year.
I'd like to ask him. I wasn't sure. Time's running out for Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts. What the hell is going on with Andrew Luck? Like, he's not practicing again this week. Like, maybe he'll practice next week. Time's running out on Chuck Pagano. According to OddsShark via Bovada, according to Bovada via OddsShark, Chuck Pagano after week 1 was minus 150 to be the first coach fired. How can you be a favorite and a future odd like that? That's insane. How are you not plus money? I think at a certain point they might have to look at this situation and say, we're not rushing Andrew back at all. Like, let's just play for a draft pick. Because, and then you build around him, you go fire Chuck Pagano, then you go out and sign or hire, I don't know, John Gruden, bring him in, and all of a sudden you're back in the...
He's enjoying the booth.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, I think that...
Got a 12-pack of on
their time is running out for the Colts to do anything productive this season that's not them just totally tanking. And you look at the Andrew Luck thing, the guy's still, like, you never see him lift his arm above his shoulder. Like, it's a bad way. Like, just, maybe it's a lost season for him, and you get back at it, you go get a good draft pick. I think they're going in the right direction, and it's not going to take a whole lot for them to get back to a place where they can contend in that division, but I think they've got to get worse before they can get better. Time's running out, so it's a clock.
Well, we'll see what happens with the Colts.
It's like they're completely overlooking their quarterback. They went into the season with just like, oh crap, it's You mean tell me Scott Tolzien's not
Yeah,
good?
right?
I guess we better go trade
Well,
for a third string
and that's the
quarterback.
thing is like that's what's so confusing about it is I think that they put a lot of faith in the fact that Andrew Luck was going to be ready, despite the fact that he didn't practice all summer. So
It's kind of blind faith.
which I mean, again,
I do like Jacoby Brissett.
He's fine, but it's just that spin move he put on last week on that touchdown run. Did you see that?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my God, hit
yeah.
the circle button. But again, mismanagement is becoming the Colts hallmark. So good for them.
All right,
Let's get out of here.
Mike, you have to go home to your wife.
Yes, I have to go.
And Ricky has to go back to work, and so do I.
So that's it for the
Let this
spread.
look out of bed.
Thanks for joining us.
Feed the pooch.
We'll be back next week, I guess. I don't know. Maybe Ricky will bring his more stuffed animals,
We'll pee on more objects.
and I'll continue to recycle things. See you later.